see if it's gonna work. Hey everybody, welcome to another ZBrush live stream. It's been so long since I've been here. Thank you so much for your patience. I'm excited to be back. Hi everybody. Hi, thank you so much for waiting. Welcome. Good to be streaming again, that's for sure. Excited to be here today. Super excited to share with you some news and things that are going on and hopefully make something interesting. Speaking of making something interesting, I have no idea what we're making today. Great. I have plenty to do. I'm currently working on a big project for NAB, National Association of Broadcasters. I'm working on a project with Ian Robinson, Ellie Wade, and Chad Perkins, and we are basically using ZBrush and Redshift and all sorts of cool tools to kind of work together and, you know, make some awesome art. So trust me, I have plenty to be working on today. I just don't know what. I don't know what I'm feeling like today, you know? So I would love to get your inputs. So we have a couple of options. We can make some mushrooms. We can make some slugs, some cute slugs. We can make something totally unrelated, but still fun. Like, let me know in chat what you want me to make. In the meantime, I'm gonna greet you guys. Pierre, Moza, Vestradented, Odon, CWC, Asim, Abel, Olivier, Sylvette, hi. Slaulum. Slugs sound cool. I was just thinking about mushrooms and enchanted forests earlier today. Mushrooms and enchanted forests are great. Slugs with mushrooms on the back. That would actually be kind of cute. I literally, guys, cannot wait to show you what the project I'm working on is. I'm like obsessed with it. It's bigger than it probably should have been. Like, it's a full-on environment with lighting, post-processing, all the models, third-person game. Slugs always need love. Emma! Oh, I've missed you so much. I thought about messaging you and telling you how much I missed you. Like, literally just a few days ago. I think it's because I saw your birthday wishes. How you doing? How you doing? Alright, I'm pulling up some slug references. Let's do a slug monster. Let's do like a straight up slug monster. So I love sea slugs, but also we can do normal slugs as well. Like, let's mix them together for something spooky. I'm gonna grab my pure ref board right here. And we're going to start picking something. Whatever is inspiring, we can use it. Let's also look for like slug monster. Let's see what else is in here. Well, that's some creepy stuff. I want something kind of cutesy. I kind of like this. Let's put this one on there. Looks like Pokemon. Almost. Oh yeah, this lady. I remember that. Emma, hi, I miss you too. Have you had a great birthday? I did. Thank you. A giant mushroom tree with fairy living inside. So I may or may not have already made a giant mushroom tree. It's more like a tower, you know? Let's see some mushroom tribal warriors. Slug and a mushroom could be spooky if done right. Let's see. I definitely don't want to put like hands on it or anything because I don't want to animate it. That's the thing. Let's see what a snail looks like. You always think you know what a snail looks like, but then it turns out you might not know what a snail looks like. Oh, snails are kind of cool, honestly. They're pretty neat, if you ask me. So I created a material in Unreal, which is where my project is. I forgot to mention, in Unreal. I created a material that makes the slugs smushy. Like, it's very, like, mushy. Like, whenever it interacts with other things. So, like, it's gonna be really cute whenever it's implemented, if there's time. That's the only thing, is that, like, there's only so much time to go around. And the project is actually due in a week. Actually, I think I should have finished it, like, 3 weeks ago, but... just not think about that. These are so cool. I love them. Every one. Oh my goodness, look at this one. Sea slugs are by far one of my favorite animals of all. Any cryptid slugs out there? FL Music, hello. Senti falta das suas lives. Eu também senti falta das minhas lives. God, I love them all, guys. I don't know what to do. I almost feel like I just don't want to do a slug anymore because I'm overwhelmed by possibilities. I got plenty of stuff to finish as well. I liked it. They're so precious, you know? There's like an ironic documentary out there about sea slugs in case any of you are interested. Thank you, Lycian. Alright, let's start with the Dynamesh sphere. I think a sphere is a good place to start for a sluggy monster. I think I'm gonna go with like this main body design and put some teeth on there or something. you know, like something a little spooky with the little antenna eyes. Color-wise, we don't have to worry about it because I can create a material in Unreal that lets us do any color we want. Should we do frills or not? I think no frills. I think I'm gonna do like a more simple body like this because I think it'll work better with my shader. I so wish I could just show you. Honestly, I probably could, but why get rid of the mystery? You guys are gonna have to tune in to the NAB presentation on Tuesday and Monday and Tuesday. Not this week, but the week after. Wasn't one of the first Sculpt challenges I joined on sculpting sea slugs? I mean, that sounds like me. That sounds like something I would do. Alright, so I'm gonna start by creating the main body shape. I'm gonna go ahead and expand the sphere to make it long. Yes. Then I'm going to taper it, so I'm going to use the deformers. Taper. And I'm just going to taper the tail, I think. Not too much. Maybe make the front of the body a little bit thicker. Like this. Then I might want to use the new knife brushes. They're not that new. They're new to me. I think actually they might be more new than I think. Just like smash off half of the slug just right off the bat, just no mercy at all. And of course, we don't want it to be like super hard surfacey, so we're going to kind of smooth that a little bit. Ooh, symmetry's off. First mistake of many. Essa escultura vai ser sobre legiões de caracóis, vai ser algo realista estilizado, levemente estilizado. Rip slug, no mercy. Alright, let's add the head. I'm just gonna kind of like mask out the bottom, I think, and then just joink, kind of give it a little bit of a body here. And a little head. Check it from the front as well. Always be rotating. I'm just using the move brush to kind of create some sort of form here. And it's gotta be, it can't be that scary. It's gotta be a little cute because everything else in my game is cute. By the way, the smoothing brush is a little strong, so I'm gonna press down space and shift and turn it down. So maybe give it more of a cute little round cheeks. Okay, let's do that. Adorable slug monster is the prompt now. I think I should expand the bottom of it, even though the shader I built already does this. Our surface slug might be funny. But I don't know if you can talk about it here, but I enjoyed the last episode of Industry Standard. Oh yeah, of course I can talk about it here. Yeah, totally. Oh, I'm glad you liked it. Who else has seen my podcast? Say you did. Say it. There's a right answer and a wrong answer. Mike Mayards, how you doing? Welcome. How have you been? Me, I love it. Aw. So we've only done 4 episodes. The 5th episode's a little late because I got sick and also the guest got sick. We both got sick. It is how it is sometimes. Little cheek. Give him a... too much. Let's turn that down a little. And yeah, I'm glad some of you guys have seen the podcast. It's a labor of love. It's not easy. It's not cheap either. Turn symmetry off. That would explain so much. I think I'm gonna give it like a little curve. And I can't believe I'm so grateful Like I haven't caught up with you guys in a while. Like I'm just gonna talk to you like you're my folks, you know, like my people. So if you have never seen me before, by the way, I'll introduce myself real quick. But there's a lot of people here that I know from my streaming days, which are not over. Just a little paused. So I'm so freaking grateful that I get to interview the people that I do. They're just such wonderful professionals, and everybody's been a dream. Like I haven't interviewed anybody who is unpleasant in any way. Everybody's like teaching me lessons about empathy and caring about others and things like that. It's been truly glorious, and I'm really happy. Like I know I've gotten lucky with the choices and the people I've gotten to interview. Do you interview devs? Yes. Actually, the next one is a game developer. Yeah. Mr. Zane, I don't need to watch it, but I don't have time or space for podcasts. I'm just kidding. You do you. No worries. All good. I mean, the podcast, you can just put it on while you're working on something. Oh, I watch it because I have to watch it whenever to approve it before it gets released and stuff. Okay, I think I put the horn or these eyes on a little too close to the adorable cheeks. We need to give the adorable cheeks some more room to grow, to breathe, you know. So let's go ahead and move them and just kind of smooth them off. Maybe up here instead. Like that, I think is better. I'm not even sure I'm gonna put on eyes. Congrats on rocking it. Thank you. I didn't know you had a podcast. Where can I find it? That's half right answer, I think. I'll post a link for you guys. I do not come ready with links today. I'm so out of practice with streaming. I did not expect it to be this rusty for me. I'm gonna put it in the chat for you guys. Like, I keep getting pop-ups of like, hey, did you know this new feature? And I'm like, what? What is that? I've got a bunch of your podcasts to catch up on, but I love it. Keep up the amazing work. Thank you, Emma. So that's getting insight from industry pros is always helpful, especially when you realize that you're doing as bad as you think. Wait, especially when that. Hold up. Especially when you realize that you're doing as bad as you think, so it's really appreciated. I feel like you're not doing as bad as you think. We normally think we're doing pretty bad, worse than it is. That you're not. Okay, you did correct it. Getting insight from industry pros. Okay, there you go. You corrected it. Hey, what do you think about the super powerful AI development and the impact it will have in the industry? Oh, I knew I couldn't get away without having to think about that topic. So I'm going to be completely honest with you. I've been shutting that off. Like, I've been shutting that out. I'm not that interested in discussing that topic. I find that it gives me a sense of unease and even hopelessness, which I wish wasn't the case, to be honest. Like, I wish I was on board with it, but that's my gut reaction to it. That's my emotional reaction to it. On the other hand, I also know that there's a lot of new opportunity that's going to come with it, that I should stay open to it, so I am. So I am open to the changes and stuff that AI is doing. I just don't like the way it's happening. I don't like that it's been completely unethical, that it's like, you know, stealing artists' work to do what it does, stealing copyrighted content from the internet or ChatGPT and things like that. Like, I don't like that personally. But at the same time, I do think that AI is here to stay, and it's an advancement for human race. And every time there's an advancement, somebody has to adapt whether they want it or not. And that's probably us. Like, all people, really. We're going to have to adapt to just keep up. And that is uncomfortable and scary to most of us. But we don't know. It could be wonderful. So I'm going to, like, withdraw the judgment, so to speak, you know? face. In the meantime, we added a little face, okay? Slug will never betray us. Actually, let me quick save just in case. Bada says, what's great is that the podcast is not singled out to only on one industry, and even in one industry, it's different categories within them. Thanks, I'm glad you like that. Mike says, one day our principal figure artist came to me and told me I was the topic of a podcast. Apparently a harsh critique I gave made a guy dig deep and succeed. Now he's an art director. He worked at Riot when the podcast went out. Oh my goodness, that's nice. That is super fun. I mean, like, you know, you can always go wrong with a hard critique, honestly, like, but that depends. Like, a lot of the artists I talk to, they've all been told stuff like ridiculous things, like you'll never be an artist. And I guess that honestly doesn't count as a critique. It's more of an insult, right? It's not for their benefit. If it's not for their benefit, then it sucks. But in your case, of course, it was nice and given with the right intentions, and it helped. At college, for you guys who don't know me, I'm a college professor at the Ringling College of Art and Design. And at college, I was told that my critiques were too harsh. And my boss was in the room, like the head department head, and we look at each other, and we both go like, I don't think I've ever given a truly hard critique in class. I'm very nice. You guys should see the critiques I got. You are trash. You are not even worth my time. I've heard that before. Okay, I'm really digging the little chubby cheeks. What do you guys think? Odan says, the last two podcasts have been my favorites thus far. Looking forward to future podcasts, and I'm surprised with each new guest. Looking forward to who else you have on the show. I have enough guests for 120 or so more episodes, guys. Like, whenever I first posted about the podcast, I put out like a little question, like, would you guys be down, like, who here would be down to participate in a podcast? And like 97 people volunteered. When I was at GDC, so I just got back from GDC, and then afterwards I got COVID, and now I'm better again. That was like the fastest COVID of my life. But anyway, people that I didn't even know were coming up to me at GDC and congratulating me on the podcast and asking to be on the podcast. They were like, hey, like I work at this and that, like I work at Disney, I work at, you know, I made the monsters for Star Wars, etc. Like can I be on your podcast, please? And I was literally dying. I was like, oh, try not to fangirl. Try not to play it cool. You know how to play it cool. I'm chill. It's all good. It's all good. Actually, I feel like I'm almost done with this because I don't want to push it that much further. Let's, like, we're gonna texture it, of course, but I thought you were gonna do a slug mustache for a second. Eu fico com o estômago embrulhando quando penso em AI evoluindo pro lado artístico assim tão rápido. I'm glad you like Ringling. Ringling's amazing. Like, whenever I went to go do my interview at Ringling College, I wasn't sold on it yet. I had barely heard of it, to be honest. They don't like it when I say that. Anyway, I hadn't heard of it much, but I went to do the interview because I was interested in teaching, right? And I was literally like taken aback. It was ridiculous. I was taken aback by the students, like this, not just the student work, but the students themselves. Like, the student work was elevated. It was sophisticated, well done, complete. And the students themselves, they were polite. They were really into it. They kept flagging me down and being like, hey, are you Anna? Can you look at my work? Can you give me feedback? Like tons of them. They were super dedicated, working hard, and I loved it. Like I looked at that atmosphere and I was like, this is where I belong. I want to be a part of this. Like, this is inspiring. And at that time I wasn't at a company that was pushing me to my limit. Well, they were pushing me to my limit in one way, but is there a way to redact my stream? But I saw that and I was sold, and I really, really enjoy teaching. I really do. I think it's like a calling, you know? And funnily enough, whenever I was in middle school, living in London, we did an exercise, like a exercise where you had to like teach people things. And I hated it so much that I told myself I'm never going to be a teacher ever. And now look at me. Teaching here and there. So should we go for like more bunny ears like this, or like more slender? I think slender. Like kind of like balance out the rest of the body that's so chunky. Contrast. I'm glad you guys like the chubby cheeks. I've never thought your critiques are too harsh. They are just what we needed. Love the chubby cheeks. 120, that's more than most TV show. I know. I'm glad you guys are like digging the stuff today. I missed you so much. Ana, deixa eu perguntar sobre VDMs. Eu uso Blender. Eu não sei. VDMs são ótimos, mas eu não sei nada sobre Blender. England doesn't mess around. I was fortunate to go to a great art school. It makes all the difference. I went to a horrible art school, so when I saw that, I was like, you know, it was something personal, you know. Leo says, hi, I've been watching your YouTube videos and they've been really helpful. Do you offer advice or insight sessions? Yes, I do. Actually, I have an entire mentorship that you can join. I'm about to add more spots for you guys at a new price. So you can check it out here, and then send me a message on any platform that I'm on, and then I'll tell you more about it, and I'll also tell you the new price. Hold on. I'm gonna put it here on. One day I hope to see someone in this chat become pro and get on the podcast. There's already one or two in chat that I'm gonna invite. Bye bye Mike. Thank you. The cheeks are gonna be these cheeks are the way. Oh, by the way, happy Easter. I totally forgot about Easter. Speaking of which, I told my parents I was gonna stream. They asked me for the link and I didn't send it. Hold up, folks. Okay, and then once I'm done with this, I'm going to introduce you to myself. So hi, if you haven't met me yet. My name's Ana Carolina Pereira. I am a Brazilian artist. I am from the games and VR industry primarily, but I do freelance on like every other industry. You might assume that I'm a character artist by trade, but I am not. I'm actually a 3D technical artist that does character art on the side in the form of streams, personal projects, and freelance projects. What else? I'm like I mentioned earlier, college professor at the New England College of Art and Design, teaching a little bit of everything. So I teach in 2 majors at the same time, virtual reality and game art. Game art one being one of the best in the country, and the VR one being the first in the country, actually. And so, let me get my hair under control, like a square. Anyway, so I am really into education. I have my own YouTube channel where I do tutorials, mostly everything ZBrush related, but I also have a very strong connection and interest in career topics. And by that I mean, you know, things like what you should put in your portfolio, or what you should put in your resume, how to network, how to market yourself, things like that. Let's go ahead and give him a little fluffy tail or something, like from the sea slug world. I think something like this might be cute. I recently learned how to do something new on accident, so I'll show you guys. But basically, you'll see. Um, what else? I have a mentorship program for those of you who want a little bit extra help, you know, breaking into the industry or just elevating your skills, elevating your career. A lot of pros actually take my mentorship. At one point, a guy that was working at Ubisoft took my mentorship. And a few others like that, people working on all sorts of topics and titles and things like that. So feel free to look at that as well. I'm about to open new spots for you guys. I do a lot of projects for Maxon. For example, if you try to learn ZBrush by searching up the Cineversity/Z Classroom, you will find me because I made those videos. I also helped make the virtual background for the... I'm just flexing that one. I also helped make the virtual background for last year's ZBrush Summit, which was super fun. All in ZBrush, Cinema 4D, and Unreal, and Substance Painter. And I do a bunch of stuff. I'm writing a book. I'm trying all these things. I have a whole team helping me, so don't think that I'm a superwoman. I have help. Because I know I always get that comment where people are like, how do you do this? And I'm like, no, I don't do it. Trust me. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and turn on radial symmetry, which basically creates symmetry that goes radial around the mesh. So I need to do, I think, Y to get it all around the cylinder, like so. Then I'm going to turn it down a bit because it's too many radial counts, so I think I need 6. So I'm not sure this is going to work, FYI. Like, this happened on accident the other day when I was working on my mushrooms, and we're going to try to recreate it today. So with radial symmetry on, I came in here to the forma and I turned on bend curve, and I pulled out like this, and it did that. Yes, exactly. As exactly as I hoped it would happen. Something like this. So you can actually keep adding like points to the curve. I always start slow, small, you know, to just kind of get started like that. And then I add more points to like make the curves more cool, more interesting, I think. Something like that. All right, so I think I'm done. So accept that. And now, like, the mesh is still the mesh, you know? That's an awesome accidental find. Trust me, whenever it happened to me, like last week, I was like, what is happening? And then I ended up using it for like 2 or 3 models. Is your $50 mentorship implying that you start a new project from start to finish, or take what we worked on? No, we start a new one, start to finish, but it's a sculpt. Okay, so it's a sculpting workshop, and we sculpt it from beginning to end. What are good online places to connect with other artists? Honestly, streams, Discord servers are amazing. Streams, Discord servers, what else, guys? Forums, so like ZBrush Central, Polycount. I mean, I don't think you make so many like personal connections there. In my case, I only make enemies. I'm joking. So I'm going to probably merge all these and then kind of like put them like so on the little butt here. That's making progress while also catching up after all these years. So I'm going to go ahead and divide this up. I've been a little bit interested in stylization lately. The project I'm working on is like a little stylized. It's not super stylized. By the way, if you use the move brush, it will move all of them at the same time, which might be what you want. Like in this case, I can just like wiggle it to make it look more organic. But if you use the move topological brush, it'll only do one at a time. That's a fun fact, but it's kind of looking a little grabby, but... Olá, Ana, estou iniciando carreira de artista. Bem-vinda, Thaís. Twitch, YouTube, Central, or Instagram, ArtStation, etc. Olá, Ana, estou iniciando a carreira de artista 3D e conheço poucos artistas de creature mais estilizados. Saberia recomendar portfólio de outros artistas? Utilizado. Rowena Frenzel. What would you guys say are the best stylized creature artists? I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of start adding a little bump right here. I'm gonna go down to the lowest of the vision and just try to do a little bump. Move and alt will actually pull right off, right against the normal of the mesh. But I kind of missed. I think if I mask it might help. My mentees know, always try to make your mask nice and beautiful, unlike me. Do as I say kind of thing. I'm going to try to flatten it out right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just like try to make a straight line with my mask. Then I'm going to move my gizmo right there and kind of like put it at the same angle. And then flatten. Ooh, I mean, probably invert the mask first, but then turn it to 0 and it will flatten. But kind of a trick that works in basically every software. Flatten stuff for you. And that a bit. Shane Olsen. So Shane Olsen does a lot of good stylized work, and if you like that, you should go follow him. I don't know if he's a creature artist. Again, like creature artist is so narrow. A bit of clay buildup around the edges here. Would you consider doing collabs with other artists? Yeah, I do that sometimes. Anyway, what other artists? Hi, Elaine. Didn't know you were a tech art by day, character by night kind of artist. I've been dying to trade out my tech art card for a character role. Oh, I love tech art. I don't know if I would want to do character art full time because that's how much I like tech art. That's the thing. I feel like doing tech art and so okay, hold up. I feel like doing something that's logical for half the day and then something that is purely visual for the other half keeps me more well-oiled, so to speak. I think it makes my brain more flexible. So have you guys ever heard of something called superfit? Like it's one of the theories for why we have dreams, right? Like certain scientists think that we have dreams because we need to be put into unusual situations that kind of expand our thinking, behaviors, and everything else. Because otherwise we would become super fit, as in like really freaking good at one thing, but unable to adapt. And that actually happens to AI, believe it or not. AI, machine learning software. If they only do one thing, they become extremely good at one thing, and then they are impossible to update, fix, edit, things like that. So what AI scientists do is they introduce noise into the data. That way it stops the AI from becoming super fit. And I feel like that way about my career is that I'm grateful that I can have multiple ways of thinking and different things I'm doing. That way I have like just like greater mental flexibility, and I think it's necessary, right? If we're gonna have to adapt to new things, at some point we're going to have to, then we're going to need that kind of skill. I recommend it. The only thing weird about these is that they kind of are a little bit, the back face is so on this. I don't understand why it's necessarily bad worse. Bye. Right? Are you using a screen tablet? Yes. Or do you prefer the regular one? Yes. I'm using a screen tablet, but I prefer non-screen tablets. I only use a screen tablet for the dumbest reason ever. Well, it's not dumb. It's because it's easier to make TikTok and real content. If like, you know, I can like, it's aesthetic, it's cool, people like seeing that, so I make compromises. Yeah, Wacom. I use I basically only use really Wacom stuff right now. Is technical art a broad umbrella term for most things digital, or is it more narrow than that? It's very... It's not narrow, but it's more narrow than that. So tech art is... how do I put this? It's like impossible to define, and I have an entire slideshow trying to define it. But basically, what a tech artist does is they are first of all, they are kind of a bridge between programmer and artist. I like to joke that we tech artists do the stuff that nobody else wants to do. But that wouldn't be so fair. So you can have 1,000 different specializations as a tech artist. You could, for example, specialize in optimization, you know, like how games have to run pretty fast in order for it to, like, you know, render every frame, things like that. Tech artists would do that. Tech artists would control, design, and optimize the workflow that everybody else is taking. Tech artists create tools for other artists to move faster and do more. Tech artists, they rigging, you know, a lot of tech artists do rigging. A lot of tech artists do shaders, things like that. So it's a weird specialty that isn't specialized. It's like 1,000 things, and you could actually have like multiple tech artists on the same team that have almost no overlapping skills. You know, I think what matters is that you problem solve, you help everybody else move faster, you help the workflow itself so that it is faster. You do a ton of documentation, and things like that. My specialty is optimization, like big picture optimization, not like optimizing a model, but like optimizing an entire game. But I do a ton of other stuff. Hi, Carbon. Hi, Sean. Let's see you live again. Enjoy while you can. All right, I think we're almost done with the overall shape. Somebody's got to clean up this bottom part here. I don't know which one of you is gonna do it, but let's go ahead and grab the mask lasso real quick. Or I'm sorry, the mask pen. Turn it down to the lowest subdivision. Let's kind of grab just this. Soften. Let's expand it a bit. Whoop, invert the mask first. Take 2. Like this. That way I can chop it off again and keep it clean. And then the knife brush might not like subdivisions, so I'm going to go ahead and delete lower. Knife, curve. Keep a straight line, and then just cut right there. All right, very nice. I wonder if I should just bevel it. That's too much. Got too much going on. I'm going to keep it like this for now. Maybe I'll add frills or something to the bottom of it. Do you have any advice for dealing with lack of motivation? I've been struggling to finish sculpts. I start for a while now. I also think it's a mix of... Also, if I get stuck on something and can't figure it out or find an answer after so long, it kind of bums me out and makes me not want to work on it. Okay, so I've been doing my mentorship programs for 2 years. And that has given me enough insight to know that there's no such a thing as like one answer that I can give for this, because almost every mentee I have struggles with this at some point. Some lose motivation, some get stuck, some can't move on, some have no discipline. You name it, all right? They all have something, and I have something too, I guess. So it's really hard to talk about that because there's so many options. The thing about motivation is simple, right? Motivation is an unreliable tool to rely on. Does that make sense? So I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate this and remesh it, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead. Sorry, sometimes it's a little hard to walk and do the thing at the same time. But the thing about motivation is that it's unreliable. Some days I'm motivated, some days I'm not. In fact, some months I'm not motivated, and some months I am, right? What you need is discipline. Discipline is basically doing something when you don't feel like it. Right? Doing it when it's hard, doing it when it sucks, you know, going to the gym when you don't feel like it, doing your ZBrush and your projects when you don't feel like it, all that stuff. Like, that is the key. And you gotta just move through life, you know, staying disciplined, staying strong. On when it gets hard, and I do it too. Thing about me is that, and this is what I recommend, generally speaking, is I 100% have a lot of discipline issues when it comes to a lot of stuff, especially I used to. And what I had to do was I had to take a really deep, honest look at myself, like something really vulnerable, without too much judgment, but to see it and not be blind to it, like see that I was messing up, you know? I had to do that. And so I realized certain patterns, and now I create an environment for myself where those patterns no longer can play. So, for example, part of my lack of discipline is that I didn't have as much internal accountability as I should, or as I thought I should anyway. You should, whatever. No, should is not a real word, you know. I didn't have that much accountability, and I wasn't succeeding because of that. So I started streaming, and then I started all these things, which kept me accountable because I knew that there were people there waiting for me to arrive and do my work, you know, and I felt external accountability instead. And I still do external accountability, things like that, in order to basically get myself moving. I had to understand who I am in order to counter my bad habits, you know. All right, let's go ahead and zero mesh this thing. But I could talk about that topic forever, by the way, but let's get some work done. So zero mesher, I think I'm gonna keep everything default for now. Let's see if it's gonna be low enough. Yeah, looks good. Looks fine. Alright, things good. Now I'm going to hide the little tail, and I'm going to turn on the high poly. I'm going to divide this a few times, the zero meshed version, and I'm going to project the details from the high poly to the low poly right here under project. And that will basically turn my low poly into the high poly again. Now I can hide the high poly, and we're basically at the same place where we left off. Very nice. Always do a little check to see if it's imperfect in any way. And then we have our little guy. I need to start learning ZBrush. Do it! Do you still do art and tech art? Yeah, I do, personally. Do game studios do much training for new hires? I'm working my way through a program for animation, and I'm getting kind of nervous that what I'm learning isn't enough. Okay, if you feel like what you're learning isn't enough, take your destiny into your own hands and teach yourself what you're missing. Studios no longer want to... Well, I mean, like, that's not true. Sometimes, like, if you get an internship or something like that, you'll be trained, but don't rely on it. Don't rely on it. Would it be required to know a programming language to do tech art in the industry? It helps. Is it better to start your monthly membership on the 1st of the month, or will I be able to keep up with you guys on this week? You'll be able to keep up this month, but in particular, we're doing like tiny projects instead of one big one. I did my first stream for the first time today, and for some reason, to push myself to actually get some work done, and it was fun. There you go. I do that too. Thank you for sharing your insights on discipline and following the path. You're welcome. Do you think most of your mentees already had industry-ready portfolios before they started your mentorship program? And if not, was the piece they worked on up to industry standards. So I have a lot of mentees of all industries and all levels of skill. Some of them did have portfolio, or some of them had portfolio ready or job ready portfolios. Some of them didn't, and some of them still don't. Yeah, it's all about the individual person, their goals, their schedule. Like, that's what makes a mentorship program special, in my opinion, is that like I can do whatever schedule you have. So like, some of my mentees work full time, some of my mentees have 2 jobs, some of my mentees are taking other classes at a different school, some of my mentees, you know, there's 1,000 options. Some of them have a lot of skill when they start, some of them have 0 skill when they start. So yeah, it's a hard one to answer. I'm gonna go ahead and start painting. Let's see what some cool colors can be. Like that. Adorable and green. And of course we're gonna put blush on those cheeks. I'm gonna like paint the stem. It's just color fill object. Like that, and then like turn those into a different color. Maybe orange might be nice. Gonna turn off, put on normal X symmetry. By the way, I don't normally do stylized work in any way, or like simple things like this. I like to do like bigger sculpts, but I need this for my game. So you guys know that there's a color altering option here in ZBrush. If you go to Polypaints and then you hit adjust colors, you can, just like in Photoshop, change the hue, saturation, down a bit. Couldn't agree more with Anna. I do this when I do collabs. It's exactly that accountability when it's a shared project and people rely on you for doing your part. Any advice on what I need in my portfolio so I can start my first international job freelance? Depends on what kind of job. Depends on what kind of job you're trying to get. I need more info. Whenever I get a new mentee, I make them do like a week's worth of research and data gathering and information for me. Because like, I need to know so much about you to be able to give you that advice. Like, otherwise it's useless advice, you know? So the kind of things I need to know are like, what industry are you trying to get into? Specifically, is it VFX? Is it games? Is it minis, you know? Is it, I don't know, the options are endless. Trying to get those little cheeks. It's just gotta be a touch, I think. We're actually gonna use this Polypaint directly in my game, FYI. You have some of the best advice for developing a disciplined approach to artistic growth, I think. I don't know if ZBrush will do VR. I don't think so. No, I can't say. Either way, wasn't there. Now that you mention it, I think not having that external accountability is a huge part of why I don't discipline myself as much as I used to. Basically, as soon as I left college, it's like I want to work on stuff, but since I have all the time I want to take to finish it, I slack quite a bit. Oh, like literally, guys, like all my mentees are like all of them. That's why they're with me to some degree. So I do all sorts of things in the mentorship, you know, like I help with your art, I help with your skills and your resume, portfolios, etc., gain clarity. You name it. But one of the biggest things I do is I give them accountability, because like if they don't do what they say that they're gonna do, they're gonna disappoint me, and they do a lot. But for example, I have mentees that have been with me for 2 years in the mentorship, every month having meetings, you know, and sometimes people criticize me. They're like, oh, you know, you can't be that good. And I'm like, well, like, I mean, your mentorship can't be that good. And I'm like, well, I mean, it's working for some people, you know? Also, why would people say hurtful things? People have been feeling really comfortable saying hurtful things to me lately. I need to get them. This thing's gonna be kind of cute in the game. I can't wait to show you. You know, you guys are gonna flip, I hope, whenever you see the real thing. So mark your calendars, all right? I'm gonna be at NAB Monday and Tuesday, not next week, but the week after. That is the 17th and the 18th of April. And I'm going to be showing how to get your stuff from ZBrush to Unreal and some Unreal tricks. And then on Tuesday, I'm going to be showing some ZBrush tricks for saving time. All right. People get very comfortable saying negative things about education across the board. I think you do so much for beginners in the industry. Don't listen to people who hurt me too. Oh, thank you. That's so nice. It's so nice of you. By the way, I screenshot nice messages you guys sent me. It's like the most cringe thing I do, but I sometimes need it to see them. So I'm gonna just kind of like smooth out the bottom a little bit. Let's turn that smooth on more. Smoothing intense. Make it intense. We don't want like hard surface razor slug. Speaking of which, I was watching Kitchen Nightmares and they were making razor clams and I was like, what the hell's razor clam? And why would they put razors in it? Joking. Right? Guys, do not quote me on that. They do not put razors in the razor clam. As far as we know. I'm gonna go ahead and inflate this area a little bit because I kind of flattened it out. This is gonna be so cute. Sharp flavor. Anna, what advice would you give when it comes to growing as a tech artist? I'm a technical artist myself and I find it hard to specialize in one topic and I find myself jumping out. So I find myself jumping a lot too. I've come to find that in my experience, you will become the specialist for what that team needs at the time. Does that make sense? Like the team you're working in will shape you to some degree. You know. So for example, I didn't plan out my tech art skills too much. The only thing I ever planned out was that I needed to learn Python because one time I went to GDC and my company was willing to pay me while I was there. They didn't pay me for me to go to GDC. They didn't take it out of my paycheck to miss a few days of work. And they said that in order for that to be a fair exchange, I needed to come up with like a presentation to give when I came back, right? It's very common. And so I decided that my presentation was going to be about tech art. And I asked everybody who was a tech artist that I met what you should know as a tech artist. And they gave me a whole list, but every single person said Python. So I was like, all right, obviously Python's a big deal, you know? So I started learning it and then I stopped for like 5 years, but now I'm back on the horse. And so like everything else was like, you know, for example, the company I was working at, they decided that they were going to take all of the VR games we made for like computer VR, like the Vive, and we wanted to port it over to the Quest, which is like playing a game on a calculator. So I had to like develop the skills and the workflow for that specific porting over, which was a huge thing. And actually like one of the biggest selling points of my resume, if I'm going to be honest, that I got that to work without too much loss. So I can't say for sure, you know, learn Python. If you're going to focus on Unreal or Unity, like whenever I teach my tech art class, so right now I'm teaching a class at Ringling called Tech Art, and I taught them 5 things. So I split the semester into 5 parts. The first thing was shaders. Second thing was construction scripts to make procedural things directly in Unreal. Third thing was VFX, which is not my specialty, but we made it work. We went and did Houdini and stuff, and implemented it all in Niagara. Then we did part 4, which was editor utility widgets, which is like how to expand the editor itself by making like new windows, buttons, and things like that. And now we're doing Python, finally. So this past week was the first time I ever taught Python ever. The first day we did like, you know, basic stuff, and we made a gambling game, which is really funny, like to tell your students like, hey, let's make a gambling game. But we made some gambling games. And then this past Friday I taught them how to do it a little bit with Maya, and we made like a mesh scattering tool. 1,000 things. Val, Carol, eu acho que não sou eu que estava com saudade das lives. Hoje você está com 60 participantes aqui. Obrigada. Viana, I already work with games, so I just want to move to money. I'm 3D generalist, working in small studio. Where do I get... Oh, to dollar. Where do I get information about your mentorship? I'll put the link in the chat. And message me, because the mentorship currently doesn't have spots open at the correct price, okay? The correct price is actually lower than the current price. Congrats. You're doing the God's work with the art community, so don't let people that are just projecting put you down. Oh, thanks, Silvete. That's how you'd say your name where I'm from, Silvete. Once this is for a game, at what point in the pipeline will you retopple this little guy? Actually, I'm not going to. I'm gonna just throw him in like this. Because you'll see the deformation we're gonna do is actually material based. It's gonna just squish him. And this is fine. Você pretende deixar ele próximo de uma legend totalmente ou modificar ele? É para algum projeto? Sim. É para um projeto para NAB. Eu estou perguntando como ele ficaria com uma orelhinha pontuda que eu vi em uma criatura. Eu acho que não vou modificar muito ele. What is my native language? Portuguese. Somebody got blocked. You guys are fast. Wow, thank you for blocking. Oh, Don, I'm peeping your message and I'm like low-key embarrassed to read that out loud, so I'll just read it. Read it. That's so cute. Thank you, Odon. Like, you are so nice. I appreciate that. You guys are just trying to bribe me into streaming more often by being nice to me. You know what you're doing. Should we add some detailing, guys? Should we? Or do you guys think he's perfect the way he is? Someone's been spilling nonsense. Honestly, it's not been coming to me. I'm glad, actually. Should I? Okay. Yes. It's not coming through. I think there's some sort of like bot that's stopping it from doing anything. Like, I see it on YouTube, but I don't see it in my chat. Maybe a little razzle dazzle. We can do a little razzle dazzle. I like that you talk like me. I'm like, I need a little pizzazz, some razzle dazzle stat. Oh yeah, I was telling somebody that, and somebody was like, oh yeah, the worst clients talk like that. I'm like, wow, okay, sorry. That's my bad. That's my bad. Alright, let's see what he looks like with some scale or like skin detail. Not too much, because we can't have too much. Because that's too much. Too much is too much. But, so I think we're going to do a little bit. So in order to do this, I like using layers. I like using layers for a lot of reasons. And one of them is to make design more flexible. Like, let's say, for example, I want to test this out and then I don't like it. I might have to like smooth it all out, you know, but if I have layers, I can just turn the layer off. So let's start by kind of like giving him some frills, like some gentle, like kind of like wobbly frills, like so. Nothing too crazy. I'm just using my Damian standard inverted here. think I can make it work. That's what I'm doing. Something like that, and then I just kind of like exaggerate it with the damn standard. So I'm just kind of like plotting out where everything's gonna go. And then what I can do is I can kind of exaggerate it with the move brush, especially the areas underneath, like so. I don't know how this is gonna work with the shader, because like the test slug, it has a flat bottom. The one that I already made. You only live once? How many of you guys are Gen Z and just died a little inside? Move. So I think I like that. I think it just gives them a little something extra. And I kind of just like sink in the top part a little bit more in between the ripples. I could even make this as morph targets, you know, to like animate the thing. Like, this stream has been fun. Thank you all so much for participating, by the way. I was literally expecting, you know, nobody to come because I haven't been here in so long. And the smoothing here, just kind of blend. I was wondering where you see the virtual effects world going and changing. Well, the VFX world isn't necessarily my world, but I interviewed a really famous VFX artist on my podcast recently. I don't remember his answer. I asked him that question. Any Dynamesh or add division will work with layers. So layers are the same, basically the same thing as a morph target. It's dependent on vertex ordering, which is basically like 3D modeling. In a 3D model, every single vertex has a name kind of thing, you know, and an order. And if you mess that up, then the morphs and layers can't tell which vertex is supposed to go where and it breaks. So I don't think so. You can't do all that. Turns out I could have. Well, you can't be good at everything, right? I reached a point now where I can do everything at a smaller scale than the actual specialized role. Yeah, yeah, that's the plight of the generalist is what I like to call it, right? Because I have an entire slideshow for my college students about this. So the idea is that, of course, if you don't specialize, you're going to grow slower than the others. Like, that's kind of a given. Specialists, they do the same thing over and over again, always improving, right? Whereas a generalist might not so much. And I chose the generalist route due to necessity. I wouldn't have if it wasn't for my life circumstances. And so I had to live with that. I'm going to call it a pain because it was a pain of seeing everybody else become so much better, so much faster than me at each individual skill, while I was lagging behind and learning all the different skills. And that haunted me quite a while, like 4 years. That was one of the things I worried about. I was terribly upset. I regretted it. Felt bad, right? Generally. I felt really bad that it was I chose that path, you know, of the generalists. And then one day, One day I realized out of nowhere that I hadn't thought about that problem in a long time. It used to plague me, okay? And I hadn't thought about it in a long time. And then I stopped and was like, hold up. Why haven't I thought about this in a long time? It used to be my biggest insecurity, or one of the biggest insecurities I had. Turns out, and this is my story, and this is not like a well-known thing, but my theory is that there will come a day where you're just good enough at all the different little specializations you have where it doesn't matter anymore. That's my theory. Like, it just equalizes, and you're just good enough to do it. You're not the best. You get along. Everything's fine. Nobody's complaining, which is the point. So there was a day where that happened and I didn't even notice it for like a while. People say you have to specialize to get into AAA studios. I would agree that if you are specialized, it will get into bigger studios that have specialized jobs. If you're not specialized, you'll be more useful in smaller studios where you have to wear a lot of hats. I think at one time you had one training. Do you still offer something like that? I do. Let me put it in the chat. I'm going to open up some new spots for you guys soon. So message me, okay? Message me asking about it, and I'll send you the new price, which is actually a little cheaper than what's on the site. So. ILM has a great video about their generalist department. I'm not going to make any claims about whether or not being a generalist helps or stops you. They are both good and bad. They're good and bad, guys. There's pros and cons, okay? If I was on my personal channel, I would literally pull up my PowerPoint. Okay, let's get into it real quick. So, the pros of being a specialized artist is that you get to become really good at one thing. You get to stand out in it. You get to focus. You get to make high quality work, like extremely high quality work in that one thing. Normally the doors will open for you to work at a larger studio where there are more jobs and specialization is more welcome. For example, at AAA studios, there are people that only make hair or shoes, you know, or only do one thing. The cons of being hyper specialized is that, in my opinion, you are less adaptable, right? Therefore, if something bad happens and you get laid off and like your particular part of the industry isn't hiring or isn't that much popular anymore, you're screwed. Personally, I think that we can see that happening a little bit with like people who do like hyper realistic human sculpts and likenesses. They still have a lot of jobs. Don't quote me on this, but a lot of companies are now doing scans and metahumans and things like that. Okay, so it makes you less adaptable and makes it harder to transition into something else. The pros of generalization is what I've already mentioned before. So like you get to work at a smaller studio, wear more hats, things like that, and you are highly adaptable. Guess what? If one of your 12 skills is no longer usable, then you still got 11, you know, to back you up. I was a generalist because I worked at a super small studio. I was the first person to get hired, the first developer on my whole studio, you know. So there's that, and you know, small studios are pretty nice to work at. I'm gonna be honest with you. Well, not all of them, but the downside is that you become better at each thing slower than a specialist. So it's up to you. That's how I feel at the moment. I see people doing really good stuff, which I do, but on a lower scale. Could you give any tips on getting smooth lines when sculpting? I find myself getting wobbly or lumpy ridges. Oh my god, my entire workshop is about that. Like, I'm like the wobble police. I call it lumps and bumps and oh my gosh. So for smooth lines, lower intensity, and just like build up a little bit to it. So keep your mouse moving. If you're too hard intensity, you're kind of screwed a lot of times. A lot of smoothing, you know. Whenever you are building up the form, do it at a lower subdivision. So lower subdivision, you know, is better for big changes, big form changes, and anatomy, things like that. And then higher subdivisions is good for little details. So the smaller the change, the higher the subdivision is what I'd like to say. Have discipline and don't go too high too fast. Start really low when you're sculpting. It's one of the best things you can do for lumpiness. I think it's a cool thing is also to learn the base of everything and then specialize. Oh yeah, I forgot one of the pros. So this is what I get for not having my notes. One of the pros of being a generalist is that by knowing a little bit of the whole pipeline, you become a more better director in the future, like a better lead, because you understand what it takes to make a game or make a movie or make, you know, something like that. Because you've done all of it, so it makes you be able to communicate with every department. It lets you understand what it takes to do each thing. You won't get as swindled as often, you know. Let me real quick, guys. I didn't even do that. I'm so out of shape when it comes to this stuff. There's my links. I'm posting them on Twitch, and that should propagate everywhere else. If you guys are interested in learning ZBrush from scratch, you should check out the Z Classroom. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe to this channel so that you can see all the other amazing, fabulous ZBrush artists on here all the time, basically every day. Okay. Is the contact email and the mentorship site the preferred way to reach out? Yeah, that's a pretty good way. Oh, hey, Chris. Thank you. I'm glad you're able to catch me here. Okay, so that's my first layer. Guys, I haven't seen you in so long that I just can't help it. I want to catch up. Nobody. But, yeah, I haven't seen you in so long. Let's try making some snaily bits here. So I think I'm gonna start with like the wrinkles underneath the cheeks or something, just like as a warm-up. It's an area that already has solid form, so that will help a little bit. That, and then like I can maybe like just go with the flow and see what comes out. And like that. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this and keep it cute, you know? I don't know if you'll stay cute. I'm just gonna do a small area, kind of like get the technique down. How I like to do it is I like to, before I commit, I like to do tests. That comes from my project management side, which I also teach. I don't know if I like it, guys. At least not this type shape. What I like to do after something like this is I like to use the clay buildup to kind of change it up a little. Clay buildup without the alpha though. And you can go a little bit harder. Like if you're doing layers, like you can just kind of go as hard as you want and then turn the layer down. You can also go as soft as you want and duplicate the layer and it'll like double it too. What do you guys think? With detail or without detail? So being in tech art, you have to accept the nature of the rule in terms of having a lot of topics under your belt, but can't produce the same quality as specialized artists. So no, because a tech artist and a generalist are two different things. You can be an amazing specialized tech artist. I think I met a guy one time that he only did skies as a tech artist. He was like a sky maker man. But I, as a tech artist, was very specialized, or very non-specialized. But I did eventually specialize into optimization. Yeah, Hongyu, thank you. I like shaders too, but I need to get a little bit more into the math. So whenever I'm doing my presentation on Monday, I'll be talking about shaders. FYI, if you guys are interested in shaders and Unreal, come to me. Come to me. I'm just using them standard and trying to keep the lines flowing with the overall anatomy of what I see in the slug. Plus, I'm trying to keep it somewhat natural, not too strong. How do you maintain a good posture when working? You guys have been watching me. I mean, I definitely am not good at that. Literally, my shoulders hurt a lot right now. It's unfortunate. I see myself in photos and video and I'm like, holy crap, I need to do something about my posture. So the idea I think that I've been getting into is like you have to strengthen the muscles that hold you up. I'm gonna go back to doing Pilates because if they're not strong enough, like there's almost nothing you can do to force it, you know. I think that's my opinion. And in my case, they are not strong enough. It's turning into that monster from Pan's Labyrinth. Guys, I'm not sold on this. Let's kind of keep going a little bit longer and see. So like all the way down here. Terrifying. For me, oops, daisy, I clicked something. I don't know which button. Some sort of button. Maybe just close this. I can live with this. So, his cheeks are inspired by the caterpillar from the Bugs movie. I interviewed somebody who animated for that movie on the podcast. The closer you are to the center, the more important it is to have symmetry. I think you pressed tab. Oh, thanks. Didn't know that. Thank you so much. So sculpting is not part of your work. You mean the optimization? Sorry, during the stream, but I do tech arts. That's the main part of my work. And in fact, before I started Ringling, I actually switched to doing mostly gameplay programming in Unreal using blueprints in VR, and that's a huge part of what I teach actually. Like VR interactions. That was such a pain to learn actually. Like I didn't understand the coding for a long time. And then I took the little Python course and all of it made sense. So like whenever I took the Python course, I learned blueprints. Kind of like that guy in the Matrix. You know, like I know Kung Fu. That was literally how it went. So I was taking a totally unrelated course and then just I get it. I understand it now. after like years of trying. I guess it helps a little to know some of the fundamentals of programming. I wouldn't have, who would have guessed? Not me. Is your game VR? No, my game is not VR. The one I'm making right now is not. It's normal. I think the name for that is Pancake. And it's third person, featuring a wonderful character model from Ian Robinson, the one and only. Just kind of adding like some like zigzaggies right here, taking off symmetry up here for the tail. Kind of like it's looking a little soft, but I can just increase it later. I missed this. Thank you all so much for being here today with me. I also have another stream scheduled for 2 Sundays from now. So that will be the 23rd. 23rd will be the day. I would say I got into tech art in a weird way. I studied computer science in uni, so all I knew was programming, but I had to learn the stuff on my own. So basically, you and me are the opposites. Hi, do you know how to export all maps, like material you use for the skin? It never works for me. So the ZBrush materials are normally not compatible with that many other softwares unless you're using the Redshift materials. But you can export texture maps and then, you know, put them into your other software. The way you would do it is, for example, I don't think this thing is UV'd, so let me go ahead and UV it real quick. Did I press tab again? C plugin, UV master, unwrap. Let it unwrap itself. Alright, so then you would go to a higher subdivision. Then you would go to texture map, create new from Polypaint. Oh no, that's what happens when you have layers on. Go ahead and stop recording in layers first, then do it again. Like that. So there's my map, right? So I can go ahead and clone it. Then I can go to texture, and there it is, and I can just export. ZBrush has a little habit of flipping your texture in the V, so you can hit flip V if you want to export it. Or of course, you can go to plugin, export as FBX, and then export the whole model as an FBX, and it will embed all your maps if you hit embed maps on there, and that's pretty useful too. I know, but I don't know, the material will not be compatible. Oh yeah, so you might not want to do the material, like just the maps in here. Should probably go back to my layer now. What do you guys think? Keep the stuff or leave the stuff? Let's turn the layer off and on. Kind of growing on me a little. What do you guys think? I try to keep it like, I try to not go too hard on the rest of the body. I need to fix this area here like that. I don't like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to store a morph target. without the wrinkles on. Then I'm going to go back to my layer, start recording it again, and use the morph target brush. And just morph target just that area. And basically what it'll do is it'll take the stored morph target that didn't have the wrinkles and apply it just locally wherever you touch the brush. And then that will give me the opportunity to kind of start that area again. Then I can try again. Just that I don't have good form here, like it's kind of too blending. I'm just gonna kind of make it more discreet. A little bit of fixing this whole form here. A little bit of plumpness right here. A bit of a in shape right here. Leave the stuff. Does that mean leave it on or take it off? I never use layers. What is a good criteria to create a new layer? Like the same type of effects, primary, secondary, etc. No. So there's 1,000 ways to use layer. First of all, you only wanna use layers once the geometry is somewhat finalized. Like you're not gonna still dynamesh it and stuff because layers need consistent poly count and all that stuff. I use layers for posing, for making design changes. I use layers for detailing, like things like skin. Really useful for layers to make sure that like multiple alphas aren't like overlapping weird, and it's just really useful. I use layers for a lot of stuff like that. I personally don't really use layers for primary and secondary and things like that. Hello, I have a question. How can I prevent alphas from overlapping? I try to create scales using alphas, but they keep overlapping, making the skin of my creature messy. Yeah, so since I was talking about using layers to avoid overlapping, we might as well do a little demonstration here. So I'm gonna grab like a standard brush. I'm gonna make it drag rectangle, and I'll put like a random scale alpha or something. So I'm gonna add a new layer. This will be the first one. And that layer, let's go up subdivision. Create a new layer. This will be the first layer of alphas, right? And I'm going to put that one there. Let's say I'm happy with that. And then I'm applying a different alpha next to it. And then I see the overlap, and I'm going to be stuck like trying to erase it, and it's going to look lumpy if I try to smooth it, etc. What I could do is I could put the second alpha type on a new layer. And now, for one, I can just take off one type of detail, which is useful. But I can also use the morph target. So what I can do is, let's say I want to just keep these like more geometrical ones. I can hide the layer that had the dots, go to morph target, store morph target, go back to my layer, start recording it again, and then use my morph target brush, just morph target away that one area. Like so. And that doesn't actually change the original alpha at all, because that's completely safe on a different layer. You know, it's only a little faded here because it was already kind of faded because of the alpha itself. So you can do that. Airbrushing moment, because there's looking. Goofy. Go ahead and get rid of both those layers. And then continue. Because if we're going to keep these, then we need to do something to the little tail, right? To make it look more detailed in its own special way. I don't know what we're going to do. Maybe it's just some bumps. I'm interested to see it progress. I found unknown design is going to merge with mistakes or creative impulses all the time for me. Yes. I'm glad you guys like the workflow. Layers are super useful for stuff that if you decide to change later, it would be a pain in the ass to do so without layers. But for primary and secondary forms, I don't think it's needed. Yeah, I agree. Exactly what I think too. I'm gonna go ahead and divide up the tail. Maybe even add a few layers to the tail since I don't know what I want them to look like. I think I'm gonna start by adding some like vertical stripes. Maybe with an alpha this time, like alpha 61. No. I'm just doing it kind of quick to see what it would look like before I invest, you know, on any actual amount of time on this. Let's see what it would look like with horizontal stripes. Looks like all the poly groups are the same, so I'm going to go poly groups and auto groups, and that should let me select one at a time. Don't worry about this, this is just a poly paint. Since there's no UVs, it never knows how to apply itself if you hide stuff. I don't like the horizontal either. I could try some dots. Something like... I'm glad you're gonna try ZBrush, Jesse. That's exciting. Personally, I like it. I've been known to enjoy ZBrushing once or twice. What do you guys think? I think this is the best option yet. That makes him look gross. Poor little guy. Game art and animation students, and they didn't teach us about layers, so learning about this helped me very much. I wish I learned about this before. So I wouldn't say like layers aren't primary function, you know? You need to learn a lot of other stuff before you get into layers, in my opinion. Actually, I think less is more here. Let's turn the layer down and see, and then if I don't like it, then we will keep it off. A little bit like that. What do you guys think? Hi, Sedgehammer. How you doing? Hey, welcome. Guys, my back is killing me. Everybody's having a good time. You all, and stay an extra. I think I'm gonna do this, like kind of a weakened version of it, just so that it's not flat. I'm listening to a different music than you guys are, because I cannot. I'm so tired of pretzel rocks. Maybe I should just get the. Maybe I should just one day get the paid version, because like I've been listening to the same playlist on that for a long time. This thing is gonna be so cute, and then whenever I do my lecture in Vegas, you guys are gonna be like, I saw her make that. I know all the insider info. All right, now let's. What else does it need? What do you guys think? Flowers. Actually, my scene doesn't have any flowers at all. Let me see if I can give you guys any sneak peeks. Actually, should I give you guys a sneak peek or not? Only if you promise to watch the lecture itself. In the meantime, follow me on social media. Best way to get a hold of me. I've been posting every day, different little videos and things like that. It's been great, actually. Stuff. I post like advice and all that kind of thing. To find out more about my workshops and my mentorship, here's the link as well. And last but not least, I just realized I haven't really done anything with the podcast, so let me grab that. Industry standards. I haven't streamed in so long that the podcast link isn't even anywhere. I just found out that there's a different podcast called Industry Standards, which is sad. We're just gonna pretend that that's not the case. Where? Oh no. What you get for Googling it months after you start the thing. I'll put the link for this in chat. Have you ever worked in procedural organic shape in Houdini to make plants and stuff? I did when I was learning Houdini, but nothing serious. One of my students did. Highlights on the frills and eyes. Oh yeah, good idea, actually. So I have a little bit, but we definitely need more. I'm gonna grab my paintbrush and just kind of start highlighting. I have a layer recording currently. I think the layers in Polypaint, FYI, don't really like each other, so I'm gonna just bake all my layers. Oh, that was not the layer's fault, actually. It's because of my texture map it's on. So it won't let me paint. Your texture map is on. There you go. Maybe I should like... Oh yeah, definitely. The cheek needs to be yellow like that. I think I'm gonna like tighten this thing, and I think I'm gonna make it yellow instead of pink. So to copy a color, you just hover over it and press C. I actually used ZBrush for a long time before finding that out. I kind of make it smaller. Add layer. When was it that you're going to do the shader stream? Monday. Well, it's going to have shaders in it, but it's not going to be just shaders. It's going to be kind of a lot of Unreal. ZBrush and Unreal. ZBrush 2 Unreal, ZBrush and Unreal. It's going to be on Monday. I don't remember the exact time. I don't know if it's been announced to the public yet. You ever had to finish in rush time, like one day? Yeah. Do you always paint in ZBrush for your games? No. Normally I'll like design the color palette here because I think it's easier than in Substance. How do you avoid very sharp edges like horns or scales being destroyed by Dynamesh too many times? So I would avoid doing Dynamesh on that, or just doing ridiculously high Dynamesh. But if you're getting to like super sharp details, then you probably shouldn't be doing Dynamesh. So Dynamesh is better for like blocking out and getting all the main forms and things like that. Make believe. Hi, do you still stream on your own channel? Links only posted. So, oh, thanks. Actually, I think I have a command. I don't stream on my personal channel right now. Just taking a little break. But I'm coming back from the break. That's like a weird mix of off-putting, creepy, and cute. Exactly what I wanted. Let's try different shapes for the eye thingies. So I'm gonna real quick just kind of pinch this like, oops, probably mask this. Pinch the beginning, like, and then inflate the ends or something. I think that's kind of cute, guys. Guys, what do you think? This or the other one? Let's see. We can check based on layers. So to see why it's good to have layers. Also, if you're doing like multiple of the same species or something, this is a great way to create that variety easily. Without having to make like a bunch of extra models, and then like you can change something in all of them at the same time. He's friend-shaped. Add a little cute little swoop or something to the ear. I don't know if I'm happy with the ale. At least the colors. Looks more like a bunny, which is adorable. What is the workshop lesson for this model this month? So this month we're talking about physical diversity, and it's kind of like things that we overlook as artists, such as fat. Fat was the first week, so how to sculpt fat properly and make it look natural. It's one of my favorite things. Then the next week is going to be age, so the proportions of aging, like what a human head looks like, young versus old, but also how to sculpt wrinkles. Then we're gonna do I don't remember the exact list. It was like extreme thinness or body or facial features. I don't remember exactly. But it's multiple models this month. It's like one of the first. Every once in a while, like maybe like once a year, we do multiple models in 1 month. Alrighty, everybody. How to make the little feather structure? Some of them have the antenna on the antenna. I think I would just pens, something like this. I would just make one and then copy and paste it all the way up. That's a trick for another time. If you check on my Instagram, there's actually a tiny tutorial for that. Alrighty, everybody, it is that time. I have to go back to working on other stuff tonight, so I'll see you all in the next one. Follow me on social media for a ton of little videos to be able to get a hold of me. If you message me, I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. stay on the lookout for my NAB presentation. And if you want to work with me in my mentorship or in my workshop, check out the link I just posted to the Gumroad. Okay? I will see you all later. Make sure to subscribe to the ZBrush Live channel to see a ton of talented, amazing, skilled artists working and, you know, thing. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.